Hello and welcome to another episode of Put Me in Coach on episode 34, the Diamondbacks versus Pirates, game 1. Lineup of today, Perdomo is now on top of the lineup. Before enough of Marte was on the top. Now Marte is in the second at bat and stuff, so Perdomo's up on the lineup. Adrian Del Casio playing DH. Gabriel Marino playing catcher, and the rest look. Well, I think Alec Thomas came back to play center field, and then the rest looks the same and stuff. And also, I think a little bit changed enough. I think Lourdes Guerrero Jr. used to be on down and stuff, and Nolan Arenado went a little bit down then up and stuff, and then same thing with Gabe Marino. I think he was up there as well, but now he's low at the very end of the batting lineup and stuff. But overall, of enough, it looks like everyone basically got on base somehow. Fortunately enough, Corbin Carroll did went 0 for 3 and stuff, but he did get like hit by pitch or something like that, or he walked or something, and then Nolan Arenado. So there was a big dragon thing. Lourdes Guerrero Jr. was on base 4 times, but he only got on base hit once. That's why he's 1 for 1 and stuff. And Nolan Arenado was same thing, where enough of Lourdes Guerrero Jr. and Nolan Arenado when 2 or maybe 3 walks in the game and stuff. That's pretty insane to do that and stuff. Showing enough of the Diamondbacks are very not going for strikeouts and stuff, and being conscious at the plate and giving some walks just to get on base. You know, this is the time enough of we just need to get on base. Doesn't matter enough if it's a base hit, home run, whatever, get on base. It kind of helps enough to, you know, having like the pitcher to have these like problems and stuff, and then fortunately enough for our other batters to come to the plate and get some base hits, get some walks and stuff. So having some patience is a very big thing you got to do at the plate and stuff. And fortunately enough, Guerrero Jr. and Arenado was doing that today and stuff. So that's why you see Lourdes Guerrero Jr. as 1 for 1, and Nolan Arenado just got out once and he's now 0 for 1 and stuff. So that's why enough to talk about that. So basically only 2 people did not get like literally a base hit. Like, that's still good overall. We still seeing that high point of it and stuff. We're back to our, you know, I don't know, we say rotation enough of like get back into the game and stuff, you know, because it was tough enough of we get swept from the Cubs and stuff. So it's just good to see the lineup more alive at this time and stuff. I think they were doing the same thing with the Cubs. It's just the Cubs were just a better team and they were on top. So it's just good to see them to just keep at that and stuff. So that's pretty much good of that. Pitching wise of enough today, 0 runs. Arodo Rodriguez giving no runs in this game. I'm glad enough he's back to 0 and stuff. He went 7 innings, gave up 2 hits. 2 hits. That's crazy and stuff, because he also had like a no-hitter till like the 5th inning and stuff, and unfortunately that didn't really happen. He struck out 7 batters, walked 3, gave no runs and stuff. So it's huge. That is honestly a huge thing. I keep saying enough. Pitching is a really important thing in our game and stuff. I get about offense as well, but it's just like our pitching for starting is just giving so much run and stuff. And like, yeah, our offense can get some runs and scores and all these typical things, even base hits and get on walks and stuff, you know. But it's just for the starting pitcher is giving so much runs away from the opponents and stuff, it doesn't give the opportunity for our offense to get back into the game and have a comeback like Snake Alive, whatever and stuff. You know, there's no chance enough of we have a chance to having the starting pitchers giving a lot of runs, and our offense is struggling just to get back in the game and stuff. So we want that to be low and as soon as possible and stuff. And it's good for him enough of to just not having the Pirates get no runs off of him and stuff, and that's huge and stuff. And fortunately enough, he's been doing that and stuff. There's little hiccups here and there and stuff before and stuff, but it's good to see him coming in and doing his job and stuff. That's basically how to win games. If the starting pitcher is doing good and the offense is doing good and stuff, it's mostly enough you're gonna win games. So that's big. The Pirates pitcher today for starting is Bubba Chandler. He did pretty okay and stuff. He went 5 innings, gave up 2 hits, struck out 4, gave up walk 6. I think that was a huge thing. He was struggling, and then gave up 2 runs and stuff. So I think he did overall. Just the walks were just a little off of him and stuff. But fortunately enough, he was throwing heaters right in the beginning, like 100 miles per hour, forcing fastballs and stuff. Like, this guy's not no joke at this point and stuff. But obviously enough, I think he's super young. I think he's going to get up there sooner or later and stuff. I think this Pirates is honestly a really good team overall and stuff. I know they're struggling a little bit here and there and stuff, but we're doing the same thing, and that's baseball, so but I just thinking he's a pretty good pitcher in that rotation with the Pirates and stuff. Bullpen for the Diamondbacks, Jonathan Liskia and then Brendan Garcia, and that's pretty much of it and stuff. And again, they are progressing enough, not giving any runs. So fortunately enough, Pirates did not get no runs at all in this game and stuff. So the rest was just the Diamondbacks. So now you know enough of the Diamondbacks did literally win the game and stuff, and they went big and stuff. I think enough of the Diamondbacks showed up and the Pirates did not. So Zero Rodriguez, man, just keep at it. Sorry, I got hair on me. Start scoring. I'm going to talk about all scoring. Obviously, yeah, it's going to be all the Diamondbacks and stuff. I'm actually not going to talk about... Here, hold up. Let me do some editing here and stuff. Okay. I kind of down a little bit more and stuff. So fortunately now, not me talking about every score the Diamondbacks did and stuff, because the only thing what I actually deleted was fielder choice and sac flies. So those are the little boring things here and there and stuff, but those are the things I deleted right now and stuff. So now I basically just put like easy base hits. There's not really a lot of like home runs, big moments of this game and stuff. So showed enough of hearing about the announcers for the Diamondbacks saying enough of you don't have to win you don't have to win games with home runs and big and stuff. You just get on base, get some base hits, some runs and stuff, and that's basically it and stuff. So yeah, so I kind of lower it down a little bit. Hopefully this is not like boring in some ways and stuff. This is just what I have right now. So Vargas hit a RBI double to make it 2-0, bottom of the first. Gabe Marino hit a RBI double to make it 3-0 in the bottom of the sixth. Perdomo hit a 2 RBI double to make it 5-0 in bottom of the sixth. Kento Marte hit a RBI single to make it 8-0 bottom of the eighth. And Adrian Del Castro hit a RBI single to make it 9-0 bottom of the eighth. And that is the final score, 9-0. And our record is now back to 500, 17-17 and stuff. So bats were alive today for the Diamondbacks, and not a lot of home runs, some walks, hits, sac flies, fielder choice, just typical things in there and stuff. Those things are gonna work, If it's I question myself enough of just like, was this a good play, like a good game? I meant to say and stuff. I don't know. I'm thinking, there's some ways enough of you gotta just win what you gotta get and stuff, and help your teammates. I think that's a big thing and stuff. Yeah, it's a little cliche of enough of like sacrifice fly and fielder choice. It's boring and stuff. We want to get base hits here and there and stuff. So I do question that of enough because obviously for the audience I want to tell you enough of just like, yeah, don't look at the Diamondbacks a bad way enough of like, oh, they won because they did a bunch of sac flies and stuff. I get that, but fortunately enough, I just thinking enough of they did their job and stuff. I thinking for players to be at their base and stuff, and then fortunately did a sac fly just to get the outfield and get the runner in and stuff. And it does matter and stuff, especially enough. I get about the Pirates didn't get nothing out of it and stuff, but these are the ways to how to win games. So I totally get it. I totally understand enough of like I even talk about it's boring enough of like the Padres did the same thing, like they should absolutely win because these stupid sacrifice fly whatever and stuff. Like I totally get it, but it's just in some ways enough if it's a very close game and those sacrifices were not like shouldn't count in some ways and stuff, then you did like the easy things here and there and stuff. So that's something of that, but also you gotta think about fielder choice enough of the person got a base hit, but also of enough of where like the player come to home and be safe, all these typical things and stuff. It's not the best thing, but it's something. Anyways, progress. Just keep going. Make that bat alive more and stuff. So they just had a pretty good game. Just keep the momentum into this the second game and stuff because Paul Skeens is gonna pitch tomorrow. So hopefully they learn their homework for tomorrow so they can hit some off on Paul Skeens and stuff. And also I do want to talk about this as well because I know John Boy Media Talking Baseball also talked about this as well, and it's pretty funny overall, but it's true in a way where enough of you just do easy tasks sometimes enough you get a base hit and stuff. Like I totally understand enough of like, oh, this was easy, oh, like you should get a base hit and that be more hardworking in a way and stuff, like just these typical things here and there and stuff. So and for that there was a time, I think it was the Cardinals were playing the Pirates and stuff, and then this player got like 2 base hits off of Skeens and stuff with just hitting his bat like just not like a fully swing in a way, but just little bobbed it out there and stuff, and also it was away, so he did the opposite of what he's supposed to do and stuff, because I think he was like a lefty and he just did this and stuff. So obviously for the the power, I mean not the power, the speed of Skeens balls with a bunch of motion and whatever and stuff, with a lot of fast motion, you had just like easy enough, just tap it, and the ball would just go flying out of there and stuff. And the audience were pretty funny enough to show one was so negative and the other was so positive, and you can actually understand of who was the negative, who was the positive, because the teams and stuff, like, because of the negative of it was the Pirates, obviously enough. Like you were saying, this is like, oh, like you just do that, whatever. You just got a base hit. Now you got an RBI off the Skeens. Like, good job in a way and stuff. Where the Cardinals were the opposite, and they were just cheering. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. Let's get some base hits here, you know. So I know Jake was showing that to Trevor. Trevor Plouffe on talking baseball and stuff, and I just thought that was an interesting thing. You gotta think about these things enough if you want to show hard work or you want to take the easy task. At this point, to me, if you want to hear my opinion, hard work is better and stuff. I get about easy task here and there and stuff. I know it's like it's, again, I say boring in some ways. I have quotes, boring and stuff, because it just shows enough of you're not putting the hard work into it and stuff. So that's my opinion. I know I get a little off here and there and stuff, but so yeah, so hopefully enough. I'm not saying we should do the same thing and stuff. You know, got to do your best every single time. Doesn't matter enough who's at the mound and pitching and stuff. And offense, I mean, not offense, pitching, keep at it, you know. I thinking, because Michael Sorka is pitching tomorrow. I thinking he's still a good pitcher. I just thinking enough of last time against the Brewers. I think he just had a bad day. You know, I think those things are just gonna happen. So hopefully enough he's ready for tomorrow, and he's going to like hack at the plate and stuff. You know, so hopefully he does that and stuff. So hopefully we can get another win for tomorrow, because it'll be huge enough we can get another get another win for tomorrow, so we can get a good head start of to win the series. Because if we lose to tomorrow and stuff, and then it would be a little bit tough, because both teams are gonna do a lot more to literally choose just to win the series over that and stuff. So our best goal is to win tomorrow, so we can win the series and also try to get the sweep as well. That's just the way I would go for as well, because we do need the wins and stuff, and because, you know, again, we're trying to be competitive and stuff. Sorry, my hiccup, blah, blah, I'm a mess. So hopefully you guys, oh, wow, I totally forgot the MVP, because we've been losing like 4 times in a row, and I totally forgot MVP. I was about to end this whole thing, but yeah. Our MVP for today, finally, by the way, and stuff. This guy never won it and stuff, and he did a great job today and stuff. I will show you enough of all the MVPs I had before and stuff, with the numbers and stuff of how many. There's some has 1, 2, or 3 around there. I think the most have 3. I'm not 100% sure and stuff. But fortunately for today, Eduardo Rodriguez, 0-run Rodriguez, by the way, is winning his very first MVP on this podcast today. He did great and stuff. Hopefully he showed that next time when he comes to the plate and stuff. That's basically that and stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode and stuff. And have a nice day, and thank you for watching.